Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. What's up, YouTube? We're live. We're Straight Facts Homie, about to record in just a moment. We are Straight Facts Homie, about to react to the very nail-biting close game between the Patriots and Cowboys over the next 15, 20 minutes. We want you to yell and scream about it as well. We see some of you already in the waiting room. So let us know. Give us your comments. We'll go back and forth with you. We'll do this over the next 15, 20 minutes on Straight Facts Homie, on Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else. There's Walter, John, and myself. I'll say the same things in just a second right here as we go 3, 2, 1. Welcome back in, ladies and gentlemen, into the one and only Straight Facts Homie. I'm Mason Souza. There's Walter, Sabina, and John Lyons. As always, we are on Facebook. We are on Twitter. We are live currently as we speak on YouTube as we're reacting to the Patriots absolute demolition derby over or falling, just collapsing to the Dallas Cowboys, down in Dallas by a score of 38-3. Bill Belichick's worst loss as a head coach in his tenured history in the NFL. We'll get to it all right now and everything else around the league. We have a special guest, Mike Kadlick, co-worker of One John Lyons, will join the show later on in the hour. But as for now, on YouTube Live, it's Patriots and Cowboys, and it was all Cowboys. So, Walter, let me get it to you as we go around the round table. Your initial thoughts from whatever the hell we saw there on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, my initial thoughts are, how do you recover from a game like this? You're sitting here at 1-3. You're an Aaron Rodgers injury from sitting at 0-4. I mean, because you could go back to last week and say, despite getting the win, that was a very ugly game, another game that your offense didn't get going. But looking at this week, you kind of started okay. The Cowboys marched right downfield. They got the field goal. You matched the field goal. And then again, they drove right downfield on your defense, scored the touchdown to go 10-3. And then from there, it was just all downhill. Cole Strange not in the lineup today. Again, you're kind of shifting guys around on the line. Mac Jones, I don't know what it is with him. We saw it all day today, just not confident in his ability to sit there in the pocket. I don't know if he doesn't trust his line or whatever. He's rolling out left, rolling out right, getting stripped sack. That led to the Cowboys touchdown going up 18-3. And with the 2-point conversion after that too, another not really a special teams blunder, but you could see on the replay there was something they saw that the Cowboys had tipped off that the Patriots were bringing all 11, so just send the guy out, easy 2-point conversion for them. And then a couple possessions later, the pick six, and just terrible decisions after terrible decisions by Mac Jones today, and he gets benched in the third quarter. They bring in Bailey Zappi, so pretty much everything that could go wrong with the offense today went wrong. And I think it starts and ends with Mac Jones. You're only going to go as far as your quarterback can bring you. This is a quarterback driven league. We spent that first round draft capital on a guy like Mac Jones, had a good rookie year, fell back to earth last year. And this year he's not looking much better than what he did last year. So it all starts and ends with him. But when you go right down the list, there was really no positives to take away outside of one thing I will say. And that is the red zone defense for the Patriots. Every time the Cowboys got close, and it took them till the fourth quarter to finally get a red zone touchdown. So red zone defense, it's kind of going back to those bend but don't break type of days. But other than that, everything was a clear negative today for the Patriots.
Yeah, to build off Walter's point, the defense gave up 2 touchdowns all game, and you lost 38-3. Like, it's to me, this is arguably the worst offensive performance of the Bill Belichick era. And they got shut out a couple times once in 2003, again in 2006. And they had a couple bad ones in the Cam Newton year and last year. But not only did you only score 3 points, you turned the ball over 4 times. 2 of those turnovers were defensive scoring plays for the Cowboys. I mean, it was just, there's nobody I can point to on this offense except maybe Trent Brown and say they did anything well. I mean, Mac Jones, worst game as a pro. Receivers, nobody was really getting open except for a couple plays of Demario Douglas. Ramondre Stevenson, he has been a totally different guy than what we saw last year. And guys, we've talked about this earlier in the year. It's tough to do anything when your offensive line is just getting pushed back on every single play. So it feels like to me, this entire offense is in a really bad place, and they were awful today. And it starts with Mac Jones. This was his worst game as a pro. And honestly, for them to score 3 points with the way they played for most of this game, even that felt a little bit generous. I know they had a decent first drive when they got the field goal, but really mistake after mistake. We saw Mac Jones with 4 turnovers, Mike Onwenu with 3 penalties, Ramondre Stevenson averaging under 3 yards per carry. Juju Smith-Schuster can't get open. Devontae Parker, it took until the fourth quarter with Bailey Zappi and that he finally caught a relatively deep ball in his first back shoulder pass of the season so far this year. Hunter Henry had a couple nice catches. Mike Gesicki, non-factor yet again. I mean, this is an offense that is just killing this team. I mean, this defensively, they've played well enough to win every game this year. Special teams been a lot better this year over last year. Offensively, they're getting sunk by this offense right now. It starts with Mac Jones, but there's a lot of guys that deserve a lot of blame after what we saw today on offense.
So Boston sports suffered their worst loss in the history of professional sports when they traded Robert Williams away on Sunday afternoon. And then the Patriots game happened. So what a tremendous, circumstance.
Mason's adopted son, Robert Williams.
Yeah, I'm gutted from that. I'm glad we're not doing 20 minutes on that, John. But the point is a disgraceful performance all around, and more specifically from Mac Jones, as you mentioned. Walter used the phrase, the vintage phrase, as the Patriots have, said multiple times on defense, bend but don't break. However, the offense is in fact broken, because what are we watching right there? I was watching that game yearning for the Matt Patricia and Joe Judge days, which makes me want to vomit in my mouth repeatedly. So that was a disgusting performance all around. John, you illustrated it nicely, very on down the line from individual performances, guys that can't get open. Mac Jones specifically throwing on the back foot multiple times. It seemed like he did did not want to be there from the start. And Greg Olsen rightfully calling him out right as he was benched. And, we were in the group chat. I predicted that. I'm like, after that, I think he needs to get benched, even if this was a close game. Throwing on the back foot to a wide open receiver, an easy third down conversion. Mac was clearly not in the right state of mind for this game. Neither was his arm, neither was his ball control, neither was his decision making. Dreadful performance from the quarterback position, and it just trickled down all around. You have your best cornerback, and we obviously were relying on the first round rookie Christian Gonzalez to be the staple in the secondary, goes down with a possible AC joint. I've seen that thrown around. That could be a multiple week thing. Who knows? We'll know later in the week if he's sidelined for a long period of time. Later in the game, your staple on defense, Matthew Judon, goes down. Our pets' heads are falling off. Just a bad day all around from the Patriots perspective. It's only 4 weeks. We've talked about extension of the preseason once or twice in the time of Bill Belichick Patriots days. But Tom Brady is not here anymore. There is no switch to be flipped. That's my opinion. So I am very nervous and very scared for what the rest of this season entails, because it's going to be a long season if things do not get squared away immediately.
You mentioned the Christian Gonzalez injury. I mean, you go right down the list of guys in the secondary that didn't even play today. Jonathan Jones, Jack Jones, Marcus Jones, and I'm probably missing someone else, but you're down to the Miles Bryants. Sean Wade is getting lots of playing time and snaps in this game. So you're thinking, okay, maybe that the Cowboys offense and Dak Prescott gets going. Dak Prescott was 28 of 34, 261 yards and only the 1 touchdown. So they were able, there were times throughout the game they were getting pressure on Dak Prescott in the second half. And, they played relatively well for the short fields they were given due to the inept offense and the turnovers that they were giving the Cowboys. So, all things considered, you said, John, the defense only gave up 14 points, held them in the red zone a couple other times. So again, everything we're looking at today and the reason for this, now the defense gave up the 2 touchdowns, but again, just going back to the offense and what they weren't able to do. And it's just so frustrating that Mason, you mentioned it, you're looking, I was thinking of it on my way in. Through these first 4 weeks, are we any better than what we were at this point last year under Matt Patricia and Joe Judge? Because I mean, is anyone going to point? Are we going to point the finger at all the players, or are we going to start to point the finger at Bill O'Brien a little bit and say, hey, granted they ain't the best weapons, but you're supposed to be the offensive guy that gets this ship right. And so far through 4 weeks, it hasn't looked the way we've wanted to. It's taken the second half of the first 2 weeks of the season to finally get some sort of offense, but we're still sitting here scratching our heads trying to wonder when we're going to get that Bill O'Brien offense that we used to have, or the Bill O'Brien offense that you saw at Alabama. And again, I know the talent disparity is huge in this scenario, but I was expecting a lot more from Mac Jones this year, and he looks like he's even regressing more than he had last year. And I don't know if he's completely broken by that or what, because how many more games are we going to have this season where Mac Jones is going to play 2.5 quarters and then get benched for Bailey Zappi when we're trailing by 20-25 points? Because it's going to be a lost season for everyone. And that obviously Pats fans have a short leash when it comes to wanting to have bad teams, because we've been so spoiled over the last several years. And it's just frustrating having a coach with an offensive background not being able to essentially do anything on offense, and a quarterback that showed promises his first year playing the way he did and getting benched through 3 quarters. It's just frustrating all around, really.
Yeah, and I think, look, Walter, it's a fair question, because I think their offense is not any better than it was a year ago. This year, I put the blame a lot more on the players than I did last year. And the reason I say that is, if you look at Bill O'Brien, I mean, look, he's tried calling plays to throw the ball deep. He's called a bunch of screens. He's called play action passes. He's used 10, 11, 12, and 13 personnel groupings all across the board. I mean, the guy is trying just about everything you can try. I mean, he's called some intermediate passes, right? It's shotgun, under center. Like, he has basically tried, it feels like, just about everything you can try. And just look at today, right? Like, Vidarian Lowe gets smoked off the edge, so Mac Jones has to scramble. He has bad ball security, fumbles, Cowboys touchdown. Then Mac Jones throws across the field, gets away with it on a completion to Kendrick Bourne. So a few plays later, he tries to do it again, pick 6. Like, and then 4th down, right? Mac Jones's last interception on the 4th down play. It looked like they called some sort of rub concept, and nobody got any contact with defenders. There was no rub play. The ball was underthrown by Mac, and Juju Smith-Schuster is just not athletic anymore, it looks like, and couldn't come back to it. So, look, I think it's a fair question, Walter. I just think right now they are getting let down so much by the lack of talent they have on offense, but also guys just not playing well, and also guys not doing a good enough job stepping up to adversity. And I think that is a question that, when you look at Mac Jones and you look at his career, I think you got to ask the question about this guy. Is he a front runner? Because when they have real adversity, it feels like he doesn't step up and make the final plays. Like week 1 against Philly, they get down 16-0 in large part because his pick 6. Yes, he gets them back to 16-14, but you have multiple drives at the end of the game to try to score a touchdown, take the lead. They fail, right? Then week 2, drive at the end of the game to try to tie it. They fail. Week 3, you have 3 separate possessions with the lead to try to run the clock out. You punt all 3 times. Then today, right, you get strip sacked. You follow that up with a 3-and-out. Then you follow that with a pick 6. Like, it feels like Mac and the offense as a whole, but led by Mac, when they are in really tough spots, they don't rise to the occasion. And that's something that, when you look at the future of him as the quarterback, but also the offense as a whole, to me, that is just as concerning about as the talent level is on this offense as well.
You're watching and listening to Straight Facts. Tell me, we are fired up as we're live on YouTube reacting to the Patriots. Absolutely bludgeoned by the Cowboys, fall to 1-3 on the season. It might as well be the end of the season for me. I'm full-blown panic mode. I don't know if we'll do panic meter, but I mean, we could do an impromptu one right now. I'm at a level 11. So we've talked about it over the first 10 minutes, 11 minutes of going live here. We'll do another 5-6 minutes or so. We know it's awful. We know the situation on the field is bad. What happens next? What should they do? What will they do the rest of the way here? Obviously, you know, if you want to be an optimist, a realist, whatever the case may be, the season is not over technically. Do you stay with Mac? Do you make a move? Do you do 50-50 snap share this week with Zappi? Do you promote Malik Cunningham, Lamar Jackson Jr. to to backup role, something like this? Because yeah, you mentioned it, John, that I think that's a good take right there about how is he a front runner? Does he not deal with adversity well? And it seems like in the last year, that answer is yes. Throwing pissy fits on the field, and yes, he was dealt a very bad hand with the coaching situation. But as we kind of illustrated a little bit, looking at this game specifically, I'm kind of hoping for a coaching situation last year than what we've seen out of the offense the first 4 games of the year. So what, in your thoughts, what's next? What drastic moves need to be made? Because I think something drastic does need to be made if they're going to salvage this season.
I mean, I would love to just say, like, you're not getting the execution that you would want to, obviously, whether it be from the offensive line or whatever. Because I mean, we've talked about the pass game and those guys, but let's go to the run game. How disappointing has Ramondre Stevenson been this year so far? Just 30 yards on 14 carries today, 2.1 yards per carry. Yeah, through the 4 games, 25 yards against Philly, 50 yards, 59 last week against the Jets, and only 30. Like, this was the guy that was supposed to be the workhorse and have the passes, take the pressure off of Mac Jones, set up the play action. But now you get behind early and you have to fight back. So Mac Jones is throwing similar to week 1, 50 plus passes a week. And, he didn't reach that level this week because obviously he only threw the ball 21 times and was benched in the 3rd quarter. But I think you need to, and I don't know how you do it. You've got to find something. Your line's weak. Cole Strange is out of the lineup, and he's been struggling this year. It's tough to find a positive on this offense, but I think you need to start with somehow, some way, trying to establish the run. It hasn't worked this year. I don't know what you can do to fix that. Adrian Clem has to come up with a game plan on that offensive line to get the run game flowing, to help set up the pass and take some pressure off Mac Jones. Cause I think we might be using that word. It might be the word of the season moving forward in terms of Mac Jones being a front runner. So that's what I say. You have to establish the run, get Ramondre Stevenson going. You saw the workload he took on last year. I don't know why it's not there this year, but establish the run to set up the pass, and hopefully things will kind of fall into place later on in the season.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, can we pray for Tyquan Thornton's speed to solve a lot of their problems? I don't. I mean, that would be a nice element, though, to actually have a fast guy besides Demario Douglas in their receiving core. But look, if they really want to get better, I think you call Denver and see if you can trade for Jerry Jeudy. And I equate it to in 2012 when they traded for Aqib Talib midseason. And I know it's not the exact same scenario, but really blue chip talent player comes in and was able to really change how they play defense. And it made a major impact. Just that one guy. And in football, especially with how bad their offense has been, one guy's not going to make them a great offense. But again, they have nobody you can consistently rely on to get open besides Demario Douglas. And he's a rookie 6th round pick. You're not going to put everything on his shoulders. And even if you got Jerry Jeudy, that wouldn't solve your run blocking. I mean, maybe it would help and the teams would back off a little bit more, right? Because you have the threat of him. But really, to be honest with you, I would call Denver. I'd see if they can make a trade for Jerry Jeudy. I'd see if there's anyone in the league on the offensive line they can add to an upgrade, especially at guard and at right tackle. But other than that, I mean, it's tough. I mentioned it earlier. It feels like Bill O'Brien's trying just about everything he can do. And there's just not enough talent there. And even the guys they have that are talented aren't playing well either.
You need to give, I like that call, John, because you need to give Mac you need to know, can he be a starting quarterback for your team for years to come? Can you give him a weapon? You look at what happened with Tua, the first couple of years, and then they traded for Tyreek Hill, and now they're the most explosive offense the league has seen.
Jalen Waddle too.
Correct. The most explosive offense that we've seen this millennium. Obviously 2007 Patriots are in the conversation. And then obviously Josh Allen has, blown out of proportion with Stephon Diggs. Can you give him some playmaker? And is Jeudy going to be the guy? Do you need to go even higher than that? I heard Jamar Chase is screaming at Joe Burrow today. That's going to cost a lot of picks. And I don't think the Bengals will do something like that as they are imploding. But the point being, is it going to happen at the trade deadline? Is it going to happen next season? Because, I believe it's this offseason. You guys correct me if I'm wrong, that you got to make the decision on Mac.
Yeah. Right. And just one quick point on that.
Yeah.
This past offseason, only 16 fifth-year options got picked up of guys that were drafted in 2020. 14 were declined. Jeff Okudah had already been traded, and then Jordan Love got a 1-year bridge extension. So it's not a sure thing across the NFL. And to your point, Mason, like money-wise, we might know, hey, that's maybe you want to pick it up, but like play-wise, it's really not a sure thing right now with Mac.
I think we'll leave it right there as we've gone a little long. We could go a full hour, but we have a lot left to do in the remainder of the program. Thanks for watching on YouTube Live. We appreciate you guys joining the conversation. We'll be back next week. The Patriots face the Saints, another tough defense. Will we be having the same conversation? Find us then. For Walter Spina, John Lyons, I'm Mason Souza. Thank you, YouTube. We'll move on for everybody else onto the second quarter of Straight Facts Only. Thanks for joining in, everybody. We will talk to you next time.